Hi, I'm Ruthie. Some people say I have a green thumb, but honestly, it's just been 9 years of backbreaking work and dedication. I adjusted my wide brimmed hat as my neighbor, Elaine, admired the rows of heirloom tomatoes stretching across my backyard. I've never seen anything like this, Ruth. You've turned 5 acres of nothing into something straight out of a magazine, Elaine said, running her fingers along a trellis of climbing roses. It wasn't easy, especially after Mom and Dad passed and left me the property. Everyone thought I'd sell it, I replied, kneeling to pull a stubborn weed. I remember your brother Garrett saying you wouldn't last 6 months out here in the country, Elaine chuckled. Did he now? Well, 9 years later, and here we are. I gestured around the flourishing garden and the small farmhouse I'd renovated myself, room by room. Elaine's expression shifted. Speaking of family, I saw your cousin Darlene at the market yesterday. She was telling everyone about her plans for this place. What plans? I stood up, brushing dirt from my knees. She was talking about turning this into some kind of family retreat. Said something about how it's technically family property and that you were just keeping it warm until they decided what to do with it. My stomach dropped. That's ridiculous. Mom and Dad left this place to me in their will. That's what I thought too, Elaine hesitated. But she had your brother with her, and he was nodding along like it made perfect sense. Garrett was there too? My hands trembled slightly as I reached for my water bottle. The phone rang inside, and I excused myself to answer it. My oldest friend Marcus was on the line, his voice unusually serious. Ruthie, have you checked your mail today? There's something you need to see. I haven't had a chance. What's going on? I walked to the mailbox as we spoke. Your cousin Darlene's husband, Ted, is a paralegal at my firm. I overheard him talking about filing some kind of claim against your property. Something about a family trust that supersedes your parents' will. I rifled through the mail and found a thick envelope from a law firm I didn't recognize. I think I just got it. Official-looking envelope from Preston and Associates. Open it now, Ruth. I'm telling you, they're coming for your place. My hands shook as I tore open the envelope and skimmed the legal document inside. It says there's a hearing next month to determine the rightful ownership of the property under the terms of my grandparents' original deed. What the hell, Marcus? This is my home. I've put everything into this place. I know, Ruthie, I know. But Garrett and Darlene are claiming that your parents never had the right to leave it solely to you, that it was meant to stay in the collective family. After 9 years? After they watched me pour every penny and every drop of sweat into this place? After they never once offered to help? My voice cracked with emotion. I'm sorry to be the one telling you this, but I thought you should hear it from a friend. Elaine appeared in the doorway, concern etched on her face as I hung up the phone. Ruth, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost. I handed her the legal document, my voice barely above a whisper. My family is trying to take everything I've built. 9 years of my life, my home, my garden. They want it all. So they're claiming a trust existed that overrides your parents' will? Patricia Winters, the attorney Marcus recommended, tapped her pen against her legal pad. Exactly. After 9 years of me living here and improving the place, I explained. And why now after all this time? Patricia asked. The property value has tripled. My renovations, my award-winning garden, I've made it valuable. Did your brother or cousin help with these improvements? Garrett visited twice in 9 years. Darlene came once and complained about the lack of air conditioning. Neither lifted a finger. The office phone rang, and Patricia's assistant announced, Miss Winters, there's a Garrett Miller calling for you. Put him through, Patricia said, activating the speakerphone. Miss Winters, this is Garrett Miller. I understand my sister is consulting you, but there are two sides to this story, he said smoothly. Mr. Miller, I'm with your sister right now, and you're on speaker, Patricia replied. A pause. Oh, well, hello, Ruthie. I was hoping to talk to you about all this. It doesn't need to get ugly. It got ugly the moment you and Darlene filed legal papers instead of picking up the phone, I responded. This isn't personal. Grandpa always intended for that property to stay available to everyone. You've been hoarding it. Hoarding it? I've been living in it. It's my home, Garrett. A home you've turned into a personal paradise while the rest of us have nothing from the family legacy. Patricia interjected. Mr. Miller, are you suggesting your parents' will isn't valid? I'm saying there's an earlier document, Grandpa's trust, that supersedes their will. Darlene found it in Aunt Carol's attic. Where was this trust document 9 years ago? I demanded. Darlene found it when she was cleaning. Aunt Carol had a copy all these years. We'll need to examine this trust document, Patricia noted. And your sister has been maintaining the property for 9 years. That creates certain rights. Rights don't trump family obligations. Come on, sis. You can't need 5 acres all to yourself. We're thinking of a schedule. You get summers, Darlene gets spring. Stop, I interrupted. This is insane. You haven't cared about this place for 9 years. Because you made it clear it was your place. You never invited us. That's not true. I invited everyone for holidays every year. You always had excuses. After the call, I met with Harold, the neighboring farmer. I've watched you transform that place, Ruthie, Harold said. Your daddy told me specifically he left it to you because you were the only one who cared about it. Did he ever mention a family trust from my grandfather? Can't say that he did. But your grandpa believed in rewarding hard work. He wouldn't want to see vultures swooping in after you did all the heavy lifting. Would you testify to that if needed? You bet. And I've got photos of that property from before you started and every year since. Been documenting all the changes for a history project. Shows exactly what you've accomplished. That evening, Marcus called with news. Ted left some papers out at work. They can only produce a copy of this trust, not the original, and it isn't even signed. So it could be fake or unenforceable. We need to gather everyone who can testify about your improvements and your family's complete lack of interest until now. I appreciate you all coming here, Patricia began as we sat in my kitchen facing Garrett, Darlene, and Ted. I thought seeing the property firsthand might help everyone understand Ruthie's position. It's lovely what you've done, Ruthie, Darlene said, glancing around my hand-renovated kitchen. No one's denying that. Then why are you trying to take it from me? I asked directly. Ted straightened his tie. We're simply enforcing the original terms of your grandfather's trust. This property was meant to benefit all descendants equally. A trust that magically appeared after 9 years? Marcus interjected. It was misplaced, Garrett said defensively. These things happen. And it just happened to be found right after my garden won that state award and the newspaper feature about my renovations? I challenged. Let's take a walk, I suggested, standing. I want to show you something. Outside, I pointed out each improvement. That greenhouse? Built it by hand. Those irrigation lines? Installed them myself after taking classes. Each stone pathway laid rock by rock over 9 summers. No one's saying you haven't worked hard, Garrett began. I'm not finished. Those fruit trees take 7 years to produce. I've nursed them through droughts and frosts. That barn was falling down when I moved in. I replaced every board. We reached a small memorial garden. This is where I scattered Mom and Dad's ashes. Did you even ask where their final resting place was, Garrett? That's not fair, he protested. No, what's not fair is watching me pour my heart into this place for 9 years and then trying to claim it once it's valuable. Ted stepped forward. The emotional appeal is touching, but legally, she has a strong case for adverse possession and detrimental reliance, Patricia interrupted. Not to mention your questionable trust document. Are you suggesting we forged it? Darlene's face darkened. I'm suggesting an unsigned copy that conveniently appeared after 9 years will face significant scrutiny, Patricia replied. This is ridiculous, Darlene snapped. We're family, Ruthie. You're being selfish. Selfish? I invited all of you to visit every holiday. I offered Garrett the guest house when he lost his job. I asked Darlene to start a business with me selling preserves. You all declined. Because you made it clear this was your place, Garrett shouted. Because it is mine. Mom and Dad left it to me because I was the only one who cared about it. Ted intervened. We're proposing a fair solution. The property gets divided or we establish a usage schedule. Everyone except me who loses my home, I retorted. You wouldn't lose it. You'd just share it, Darlene said sweetly. After I did all the work? After 9 years of no interest? That's not sharing, that's stealing. You always were Dad's favorite, Darlene hissed. You got everything. His attention, his praise, and then his property? Life isn't fair, Darlene, but taking my home won't fix your daddy issues. Ted stepped forward menacingly. Watch your mouth. We can make this very difficult for you. Is that a threat? Marcus asked, moving beside me. It's a promise, Ted hissed. We'll tie this up in court for years. You'll spend every penny fighting us. Get out, I said quietly. Get off my property right now. It's not just your property. Garrett grabbed my arm roughly. You need to listen to reason. Take your hand off me. Instead, he tightened his grip. Not until you agree to talk sense. She said let go, Marcus warned. Patricia pulled out her phone. I'm calling the police. Mr. Miller, you're assaulting your sister on her own property. Garrett released me with a shove. This isn't over. You'll regret this, Ruthie, Darlene added. We're blood. You don't turn your back on family. You did that the moment you filed those papers, I replied, rubbing the marks on my arm. We'll see you in court, Ted threatened. You'll wish you'd been reasonable today. 6 weeks later, I sat in the county courthouse with Patricia beside me, while Garrett, Darlene, and Ted sat across the aisle with their attorney. Harold was our first witness. Old Man Miller was proud of that land, he testified. Always said he wanted it to stay in the family, but he was particular about who would get it. Could you elaborate? Patricia asked. He used to say, land goes to those who work it. That was his belief. Said there's no entitlement to land, only what you earn through sweat. And have you observed Ruthie working the land? Every day, rain or shine, that girl transformed a neglected farm into something spectacular. Meanwhile, I can count on one hand the times I've seen her brother or cousins visit. When the opposing counsel presented the alleged trust document, Patricia methodically dismantled its credibility. This document is an unsigned photocopy with inconsistent formatting that suggests tampering. It contradicts the properly executed will that Miss Miller has been living under for 9 years. During a recess, their attorney approached. My clients would like to discuss a settlement. They'll withdraw their claim in exchange for a small parcel, perhaps 1 acre, to build a vacation cabin. I shook my head firmly. No, they threatened me, assaulted me, and tried to steal my home. They get nothing. When court resumed, Judge Elkins delivered his ruling. This court finds no valid basis for the plaintiff's claim. The alleged trust lacks authenticity and conflicts with the properly executed will. Furthermore, Miss Miller has established clear ownership through 9 years of possession, with substantial improvements to the property. The court rules in favor of the defendant, Ruthie Miller. Additionally, given the evidence of harassment and assault, the court grants Miss Miller's request for a restraining order against Garrett Miller and Theodore Preston. Outside the courthouse, Darlene approached me while Garrett and Ted waited by their car. Ruthie, please, she began softly. We're still family. Can't we find some way to move forward? I'm sorry things got so ugly. I looked at my cousin and saw not remorse, but desperation for what I had built. Family isn't just a claim you make when it's convenient, Darlene. It's showing up, supporting each other, being present. Where were you when Mom was dying and I was caring for her alone? Where were you when I was replacing the roof in the rain because I couldn't afford help? I had my own life, my own problems. We all do. That's the point. You chose not to be part of mine until you saw something you wanted. That's not family. That's opportunism. So that's it? 9 years of silence and now a lifetime of it? Her voice cracked. The silence was your choice then. This is mine now. That evening, my true friends gathered in my garden for a celebration. To Ruthie, Marcus toasted, who built not just a garden, but a community around her. And to Justice, Patricia added. Sometimes it actually works. Harold raised his glass. And to family. The ones we choose, not just the ones we're born with. As twilight settled over my home, my rightful, hard-earned home, I felt a peace I hadn't known in months. You know what I've learned from all this? I mused, looking around at the people who had stood by me. What's that? Elaine asked. That some things have to break completely before they can be properly rebuilt. Just like this garden. Sometimes you have to clear everything away to create something beautiful. So, what's next for you in this place? Marcus asked, squeezing my hand. I'm thinking of starting a community garden program. Teach others how to grow their own food, find their own strength. Will you ever speak to them again? Elaine asked gently. Maybe someday, but not because they're entitled to my forgiveness. Only if they earn it, just like everything else worth having in this life. As night fell over my garden, I wondered, have you ever had to fight for something that was already rightfully yours? What did you learn from the battle?